name is Peter James from the website peterjamesx.com, and I'm bringing you the Babylon Report. This evening I'm going to discuss several great deceptions. I'm working actually on another video, but I had the thought to stop that and to just bring you up to date on some of the critical deceptions that are taking place in the world, because they are affecting all of us right now. The first one is that we can ignore the commandments and, in a word, forget the entire Old Testament. This is rebellion. Didn't the eternal God know what he was doing when he wrote the Old Testament? Most churches teach tithings and offerings. When they go to Malachi 3:8, will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. So most churches, regardless of what they teach, wrong, right, sideways, upwards, downwards, they all grab on to tithes and offerings. And it's Malachi 3:8. It's the verse they use. But they don't realize that you have to take the whole thing and not cherry pick. In James 2:10 it says, for whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. So we just have to accept that the Bible is an entire book that we have to accept as the Word of God, and not just pick out a verse here, a verse there. We mightn't like what it says, but that's quite immaterial. In Matthew 5:18, Christ said, for verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Well, as far as I know, the earth is still here, and the heaven is still here. For those people who say all has been fulfilled, that is not true. Christ did die and was the ultimate sacrifice for us, but there are lots and lots of things that are still waiting to be fulfilled. Many, many prophecies in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, in the book of Revelation. So all has not been fulfilled, regardless of what these false pastors tell you. The second point is Easter, Christmas, and Sunday are ordained by God. This is untrue. Easter and Christmas predates Christianity. And Sunday, well, Christ was not resurrected on Easter Sunday. Sunday is worship of the sun, Sunday. We are commanded to keep the Sabbath, which was instituted going right back to Genesis. After man was made, next thing we know is God rested. He wasn't tired. He was setting the example for us. The weekly Sabbath and the annual Sabbaths, which are also referred to as holy festivals, were kept by Christ. You see it in the New Testament. They were kept by the apostles. We have been admonished not to follow the way of the Gentiles, but that is precisely what we do. But in the future, it won't be like this at all. Now you need to consider this, that in the future, Christ, who will rule over the entire earth in the millennium, this is what he says is going to happen. Zechariah 14:16-18. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came up against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Do you hear that? So after the final battle of Armageddon down in the Middle East, around near Jerusalem, we are told that everybody who is left of all the nations is going to go up to Jerusalem to keep the feast. Or certainly representatives of those nations will go to keep the feast. The average Christian has no idea, no concept what the Feast of Tabernacles is about. Do you? What about the Feast of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, the Days of Unleavened Bread? Zechariah 14:17, and it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. It's future. Zechariah 14:18, and if the family of Egypt go not up, and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. It's crystal clear. It's going to happen. It should never have stopped in the first place. The Israelites kept it right up until the time of Christ. And I'm talking about the whole 12 or 14 tribes of Israel. It should never have been done away with and replaced by Sunday and Easter and Christmas. You know, I'm going to read you some words that were said by Christ. It might surprise you, but they were. Because Christ was the creator God of the Old Testament, as stated in John chapter 1, verse 1, and the verses that follow. There's only one God, not two, not three, no Trinity. We've got documents, we've got videos on it. Just go to the website. Everything is there you need to know. But in Isaiah 66:22 it says, for as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. Listen to this, Isaiah 66:23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me. Christ is the one who is returning. He is saying he's the eternal God, and he says, all flesh shall come to worship before me, saith the Lord. You see, Christ didn't make something and mess it up. We do that. You know, Christ expected us to be keeping the Sabbath day today. He really did. You know, we're in the end times. And in Matthew 24, he was writing to the believers who were in Judea. And he told them to pray that when they had to take flight for their lives, that it did not take place on the Sabbath. Why did he not say Sunday? Did he make a mistake? God doesn't make mistakes. We make mistakes. We are the mistake. Matthew 24:20. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Matthew 24:21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be.